Hello. It's an odd thing writing these pieces every week because when I start writing, I don't always know the direction it's going to go. Take this week, for instance. I spent the last few days writing an interesting piece about something or other. I'd almost completed it when suddenly, while I was taking my dog Cody for a walk, in fact, a message in my head told me to scrap it and do this one instead. So I'll save the original piece for another time and do as I'm told. So here we go. We're well into this lockdown now, and most of us at least have been obeying the rules that were imposed by the government. But how many of us know exactly what these rules are? It's true that some of the rules seem to make little sense, and some are a bit ambiguous to say the least. But nevertheless, they have to be obeyed for the benefit of everyone. But obeying rules is something that we should be used to. We do it all the time. We all have to obey the law regardless of whether we agree with it or not. And when we're playing sport or any sort of game, we have to play by the rules, otherwise it would be chaos. When we were children, our parents had rules, didn't they? But some of them made no sense. How many times did we hear, "Shut your mouth and eat your dinner"? Well, how does that work? And sometimes they would change the rules. They spend the first 5 years of a child's life teaching them to walk and teaching them to talk, and then the next 10 years telling them to sit down and shut up. But there are rules everywhere. Some make sense and some don't. For instance, I was travelling on London Underground a few weeks ago, and a sign on the escalator said, "Dogs must be carried." It took me 3 hours to find one. But seriously, I work on the railway, where the whole operation is controlled by rules, and safety is the bottom line of everything. The reason for some rules is obvious, but others are a bit more difficult to understand. As a driver, I have to pass a rules exam every 2 years, and as our rule book runs into several volumes, there's quite a lot to learn. But the thing is that every rule is the result of some accident that has happened in the past. The most recent one stems from the accident in Scotland a few months ago, when a high-speed train was derailed by a landslip following heavy rain. You might remember it. The new rule states that drivers must now report immediately, stopping the train if necessary, if they see anything such as running water that may cause damage to embankment, infrastructure or the running rails. A rule that makes perfect sense. Now, I've always been a fan of common sense when it comes to making decisions, but it often seems like railway rules and common sense don't always go hand in hand. But there's a reason for every rule, and once again, they all have to be obeyed, whether we agree with them or not. And as Christians, we have our own rule book, don't we? Known as the Bible. Now, I know that everyone will have their own opinion about this, but I don't take all of the Bible literally. I think that the Old Testament is a collection of traditional stories that may well have originated from genuine events, but have been passed down through the generations by word of mouth and probably changed somewhat over the years. Whether or not you share that view, they all have symbolic meanings at the very least. The New Testament stories, I believe, are more accurate accounts of real events, but even they were written many years afterwards. Again, there are important symbolic messages in every one. But none of that matters, because the Bible is the book that we all work to. It has a set of standards that we all should try to maintain, and contains many references that we can look up when we have problems. Whether we agree with it or not, it's our rule book and it's there to help us. So there we are. It's not what I originally intended, but I hope you liked it anyway. The message is stick to the rules and stay safe.